Hello, everybody. I am live on Facebook and Instagram, so if one of them drops for whatever reason, head over to my other one so you can watch the rest of this video. Today, I needed to make this video. I felt called to do it based off of the things I've been hearing in my circles lately, the way that I've been feeling, the way that this life is. I felt really called, and now's the right time to make this video. And today, we're going to be talking about the big elephant in the room, abuse. And before we get started, abuse can go both ways. Men can be abused and women can be abused. Abuse is not a one-sided thing. Anybody can be an abuser and anybody can get caught up in that cycle. And I guess one of the reasons that prompted me to make this video is people keep saying, I never thought I would be that person, the person who stuck it out in a relationship when they knew it wasn't right. So the first thing I want to cover is, how do you know you are being abused? Because not all abuse is physical, right? We're not all getting punched in the face. Like, that is easy to spot. And from what I understand from all the research I've been doing lately on the topic, women who are, anybody who is being emotionally abused would rather be physically abused so that they have some evidence. They have something, like, it's easy to see. It's easy to make sense of that. Like, you got hit, there's a problem, clearly. But when somebody is behind closed doors, constantly undermining you, constantly putting you down in a subtle, covert way, constantly making you feel like you're crazy and you don't know, you start questioning your own reality. You start believing them, and maybe they're right. Maybe I was at fault for that. It's harder to spot the abuse, and you feel like something is not right, and you feel crazy, and you feel torn up inside, but there's no physical evidence of what's going on. So it's hard to get your feelings validated. So the number one sign, if you think that you are being abused, you probably are. If that word is crossing your mind, if you are Googling, am I in an abusive relationship? If you're Googling stuff like that, you probably are. That is the number one thing that I've heard from all the professionals. Trust your intuition, trust your gut. If something feels wrong, something is wrong. Maybe it's not abuse in the way people would typically see it. Who knows? Like, your situation is unique. But if something doesn't feel right, then something isn't right and it needs to change. And it's okay for you to have those feelings, and it is okay for you to want a change, to be treated like a human, to be treated with respect and love. And it is okay for you to not agree with your partner's version of love. If your partner is constantly saying, well, I only do that because I love you, I'm only calling you names because I love you, and you think that name calling is not a part of love, it is okay for that discrepancy to exist. It is okay for you to say, I understand that that's where you're coming from, but my standards in life don't involve that. So, like, that needs to change. If you have a certain level of respect that you're demanding for yourself and your partner is not meeting that need for you, it is okay for you to not change that standard. You are allowed to have that standard. So that's one of the ways that you can tell if you're being abused, is to trust your intuition, trust your gut. If this video, first of all, you guys, this is a heavy topic. So if you can't handle it, it's fine. If you want to talk to me in private, that's fine. If you want to leave comments, questions, I will answer them. That's fine. If you need help, if you feel like you're in a situation right now where you need help getting out and you don't know how things have gotten this bad, but you know something doesn't feel good, reach out. There's women's centers, there's abuse victims centers. Like, you can talk to me. I can direct you to some professionals. I can help stage an intervention for you if you need that. Like, whatever you need, but, like, don't do this by yourself. The reason that you're in the situation that you're in right now, questioning your reality, feeling crazy, wondering if you can change enough to make things work, wondering if you can change them enough to make things work, it's all because you've been trying to do it by yourself. And you can't do it by yourself because you have a manipulator constantly in your brain trying to convince you how to think, how to feel, how to be. So you need to reach outside the relationship and get some support. There's another thing that I wanted to talk about, and that is how you might be able to spot if somebody you love, somebody that you care about, is in an abusive relationship. And these signs are really subtle. And the things I want to talk about are not typical. Like, it's easy if someone is complaining about their partner, about the things that they're doing, and you're like, that doesn't sound right. But there's other things. There's if your friend just kind of has lost their sparkle, if you notice like somebody you've been following online suddenly like kind of quits posting, they kind of drop off. They post here and there, but it's not like so inspirational anymore when they used to be like a pillar of like joy and happiness and abundance, and now they're like little bits here and there. Here's my dog, whatever. Um, if you notice a big change in somebody when they start dating someone, if you notice that maybe they quit coming around as much. Maybe they start saying things like, oh, I can't go unless, my boyfriend comes with me, or they start making little comments like that. That can be a sign. If somebody knows like he used to be super happy and energetic is suddenly like kind of withdrawn and a little bit down and depressed, that's a good sign. And I'm not saying that if somebody you care about suddenly gets depressed that like they're getting abused and you need to intervene, like that might not be the case, but it might be the case. So it might be worth like reaching out, having a conversation, be willing to hear them and be there for them. Another thing is that if you think that somebody is being abused emotionally or physically, um, if you don't have, this is going to be the hardest advice. If you don't have the stamina or the will to be able to stick it out through it with them, um, it's really hard to like jump in, kind of open the can of worms, stir the pot, and then leave because that can just make things a lot worse for them. So if you decide that somebody is in a way and you want to help them, you got to be willing to like help them like through it. And that can be really hard because if someone does decide to leave their abuser, like it gets very difficult. There's like they develop a chemical addiction to the person, so it's going to be like a withdrawal sort of thing. Like it's going to be very painful for that person, and it's hard for people to watch someone you love go through something really hard, and there's nothing you can do to help. And so the best advice I could say in that situation, if somebody is going through a really hard time, is just be there, just sit with them, just hold this space, right? Just let them cry, let them talk, let them whatever. You don't have to react. If you don't know what to say, then don't say anything. Really just being there, just sitting there with them. In my past, there's a one clear moment in my mind that stands out. And I was going through a really, really, really hard time. And I was just like sobbing hysterically. And I would not tell the person that I was with what was going on in me, like why I was so sad, why I was feeling the way I felt. And they didn't know what to say. But he just sat there with me and held my hand and just let me cry and just sat there. He had his emotions in control. And he just was like, I wish there's something I could do, but I'm here for you. Go let it out. Like, and he just sat there with me while I like had this fucking breakdown. That was when I was 18. So a long, 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 long time ago, but it was such a profound moment for me that it sticks with me. And so if you know somebody who's going through something and you don't know how to help, it's okay if you don't know how to help. You can just be there for them. Just, tell them that, like, I don't know what to do, but I'm here for you. If you need to listen, need someone to listen to you, I will listen. And that's it. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to give advice. You don't have to try to fix it. You don't have to do anything. Um, and if you are in a situation where, like we go back to the beginning of the video, when you feel like something is wrong, you feel like something needs to change, but you're scared. It's a scary thing. Even if there's no signs of physical abuse, constantly waiting to get criticized or constantly waiting to be told that you're wrong creates a fear in you, a fear of being yourself. It creates a fear of expressing your feelings. It creates a fear of just living life to the fullest. And in addition to the fear of being yourself, you're afraid of upsetting the other person. So you're constantly walking on eggshells. You're constantly trying to censor yourself. You're constantly trying to not set them off because you don't want to deal with the fight, because maybe the fight will last 5 minutes, maybe it will last all day, maybe it'll last all week, and you don't want that kind of emotional upset in your life. Your energy is important. Like creating a peaceful energy in your life is so, so, so important. And so if you're constantly on edge, you're constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop, you're constantly like never know when you're going to set off your partner, like that is damaging, that is fearful, that is stressful, that creates stress in your body. That creates a really hostile environment for you to thrive. One thing that I notice is that when I am not in a good place in my relationships, if I'm in a relationship like this, my physical health suffers. A bunch of like weird symptoms come up. My immune system just doesn't work. I don't know if you guys remember, a few years back, I got meningitis. I was in the hospital. And the meningitis lasted like 3 times longer than it normally does. I usually say it lasts like 7 to 10 days, and I was sick for like a month. It was crazy, 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 crazy. The whole family started coming to visit me. They thought I was going to die. They couldn't even be with me. My brother came up to see me, and he was so scared by like how sick I was that he literally like came, said hi, was like, it's hot in here, went and bought me a fan, installed it, and then left. Like he couldn't even stand in the same room with me because I was so sick. And that literally was because my immune system was in the garbage because I was under so much stress that my body was just trying to survive. It didn't have what it needed in order to thrive or to fend off any kind of like attack like that. So if you think that being in an emotionally abusive relationship or a physically abusive relationship isn't having an effect on you except for like up here, you're wrong. It is affecting your physical health. It is affecting everything in your life. It affects your business. It affects your relationships with your friends and your family. It affects your friends and family because they care about you. They don't want to see you being hurt like that. They want to see you thrive. They want to see you happy. And when you're not, it hurts them. They don't know what to do. It puts stress on them. And I'm not trying to blame anybody. I'm not trying to say that like you're hurting other people because you won't get your shit together. I'm not saying that. Like when you're in that kind of situation, it's pretty much all you can do to just try to survive yourself, and you can't really worry about other people's feelings so much. Um, but on that same thread, the person, if you're in a relationship like that, the person whose feelings you're worried about the most is the abuser. And you value their feelings above your own because if you didn't, then you would not stay in that relationship, just plain and simple. Um, and I know that from experience. That is something that I have done. That is something that I work on still to this day, putting myself first. Not perfect. One of the things that I really heavily focus on in my coaching programs with my clients is being a people pleaser. And the reason that I help people so much with that is because it's the thing that I struggle with. And it's something that I know that the more people I can help overcome that, the better I'm going to be at overcoming that. You know, when people come to me with questions and scenarios and they say, well, this happened and I did this, how can I be better next time? I can relate to that and I can say, oh, I've done that before, you know? And so when I help other people through that, it gives me um, reference points so that later in the future, if I'm in a similar situation, I can go, I know how to handle this already. You know, I'm learning from other people's experiences and they're learning from mine. And it's a really beautiful relationship where we can help each other grow and get through stuff. Um, so back to this, if you are in a relationship with an abuser and you know something is not right and you need something to change, but you don't know whether or not you should leave or whether you should stay, the thing that I've been hearing the most lately is that the most loving thing that you can do is to confront the abuse. But don't take that out of context. You guys cannot just go up to an abuser and be like, you're abusive, you need to stop. Like, that's not going to work. That's probably going to make them angry. They're going to react to that. They're going to be like, what did you say to me? And so, like, that's a very dangerous thing to do. So I don't recommend that you do that. But you have to come up with a plan and come up with a strategy. Like, you know this person better than anybody else does. You know how you can predict how they're going to react better than anybody else can. If you are in danger, physical danger, then like you need to remove yourself from that situation. Plain and simple. Like, you can't worry about their feelings. You just need to get to a healthy, safe place. If you want them to change, if you really feel like you love them so much and they deserve somebody to love them back, then you can love them from afar. You don't have to be in the abusive situation to love somebody. And if confronting the abuse is removing yourself while they're at work and leaving a note behind that says, these are the things that you are doing wrong, these are the ways that you've harmed me, these are the things you need to change, and I'm sorry, but I can't be around while you fix yourself, then that is good enough. Like, that is good enough. If you need to do that, then you need to do that. If you think that you can have a conversation with somebody about this and you're going to be completely physically safe, then you can do that. If you get a therapist and you have a third party in the room, so I mean, like, you got to be able to judge this on your own if you and do what is going to keep you safe. You can't be putting yourself in danger in order to help try and fix somebody else. But if you like, I don't know how to say this. So in my situation, I felt like the guy had never really experienced love in a way that he deserved to experience it. And that is why he was so messed up, right? He didn't want to hurt other people. He just didn't know how to be, you know? He wasn't physically dangerous. He had all these emotional problems and wasn't willing to deal with them. And I was getting to the point where, like, okay, so I'm going to drop this and I'm going to leave, or I'm going to commit to a life of misery and abuse. And I couldn't deal with that. But I didn't feel like it was right to just be like, okay, bye. Like, I'm out. You're just going to fend for yourself, because I loved him. I cared about him. I want to see him heal. So, then I have to weigh my options, right? What can I do? I can have a conversation with him. I can take him to therapy and have a conversation with him in front of somebody else, which could be easier for me, but also might make him feel like blindsided. I can leave a letter. I can't, like, there's so many options for like ways to handle this. And you just have to trust your gut and trust your instinct about the best way to handle it. And I'm not saying that like everything will work out and you'll end up with like a fairy tale ending if you like, hey, you've been abusing me. And he's going to be like, oh my God, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Like, I totally accept responsibility for everything that I've done and let me fix it and let's get better. That probably is not going to happen, right? If you are committing to helping somebody through this by remaining in a relationship with somebody who is being emotionally abusive, you're in for a wild ride. Because in order for this person to heal, they have to admit what they're doing is wrong. They have to see exactly how and why it is hurtful to other people, and they're going to have to want to change. But in order for them to get to that point, they're going to have to move through a really intense amount of pain. And this pain can come from you confronting them and giving them an ultimatum saying like, you need to change or I'm out. And sometimes that will be enough pain. And sometimes that will not be enough pain and you will have to just leave. And that is the most loving thing that you can do for the person is to leave them. That's hard to hear because you don't want to hurt somebody. You want to see them happy. You want to see them get better. You want to have a happy life with them. But sometimes that is not possible. And sometimes the most loving thing that you can do for yourself and for the other person is to leave. And even if leaving creates so much pain in them that they feel like they can't go on and they're going to break down, they need that pain. You creating that pain for them is doing them a service. It is showing them what they need. It's giving them the motivation to make a change. It's telling them exactly, this is like God giving them the guidance that they need. But some people need a really loud message, right? Some of us can be like, oh, look, the number 111, this is the right path for me. And some people need a fucking slap in the face and like, go this way. And so sometimes, like, if you're really stubborn and really messed up, like, that's what they need. Not an actual slap in the face. Like, I mean, like, that creating that emotional pain gets them the motivation they need. I hope you guys, that's clear, right? Like, okay. If you are in a situation where you don't know if they could become physical with you, when I was, when I had meningitis, that guy that I was with, that guy was the most overt, crazy narcissist that I've ever met in my life. And it got to the point where I was like, we'd been together not long enough for the amount of abuse that was going on. And I was like, he's letting all his crazy out really fast. And I see it and I need to get out. But because things were escalating so quickly, I wasn't sure what he was capable of. He was very controlling, it was really, really intense. And I actually told somebody one time, I said, I don't know if I'm safe or not. Like, if I were to try to leave, I don't know if he would become abusive and like physically harm me or not. Like, I have no idea. I don't know this person well enough to do that. And so they were like, that's really scary. That's really scary that you don't know your partner well enough to know if they're going to become violent with you if you try to leave. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, so that's a pretty good indication that you need to, escape. Assume that they are violent and escape that way, because just in case, like that's the best way to handle it. Um, and that's something that you guys need to take into consideration too, right? Like, I've seen so many stories, so many stories of people that have been together for years and years and years and years and years, and then all of a sudden their partner becomes violent. They didn't realize they had it in them, but it's capable. So if there's any piece of you that believes that the person you are with could become physically violent with you when you try to leave, then you need to assume the worst and plan your exit strategy around that. Just in case, just for your own personal safety. You're not overreacting. You're not overreacting. That's the one thing abusers love to tell you, that to minimize their abuse and say, like, oh, what I did wasn't that bad. You're blowing everything out of proportion. You don't understand the way the world really works. You're crazy. You always do this, right? You always make everything so much bigger than it is. This is just some little issue, and you're making it into something that it's not, and you need to like relax. That's not true. That's what they call gaslighting. That is when your abuser tries to convince you that you can't trust your own reality. That is a form of abuse. And so if there is any shred of doubt in your mind about whether or not this person could become violent with you when you leave, you need to believe that and treat the situation as though, like, worst case scenario, and you're not overreacting. I can't say that enough. I'll say it again. If you think, if there's a tiny fraction of you that believes this person could become violent, you need to treat the situation as though that is the way it is, and you are not overreacting. You are protecting yourself, and that is so necessary. So anywho, I know this is this is not something I normally talk about. Like, this is so heavy. And you guys, I know that I've made a big spiritual transformation over the last year or so. And so I know a lot of people who follow me are not religious at all, because that's how I was for many years. And now I see that there is something else out there, that there is more to this this world than I thought there was. So whether you're religious or not religious, if you are not religious, then everything here just applies. Just believe it. It's what I'm saying is truth. It's fine. If you are religious and you have some internal conflict about like the way your religion is telling you to handle the situation, just know that the way the church handles the situation is not the way that God wants you to handle the situation. God wants you to be happy. God wants you to flourish. God wants you to be safe, so that you can create the biggest impact in the world that you can, so that you can help spread love and light and joy. God wants you to be safe, to be happy, to be joyful, to follow your desires, to be treated with respect. That is what he wants for you. He or she or whatever you believe in. That is what your higher power wants for you. Life is happening for you. Okay? It's for you to grow, for you to learn, for you to be happy. So this is, I found this YouTube channel, and there's it's a religious TV show about handling abuse. And they talk all about the Bible verses and God and everything. And these people who are really devout Christians are talking about how if you are not willing to overcome your abuse, they will help you deconstruct your marriage, because they believe that being in a good place is more important than the marriage constitution, like the marriage, like the institution. That's what I'm trying to say. The institution of marriage is not as important as people thriving and people becoming the best humans that they can be. And that God would rather see somebody heal than be caught in a marriage for their entire life being mistreated and abused. So if you have some religious conflict about that, you got to find somebody who can help you make sense of the situation, who's not going to tell you just go love them more, just be a better wife, and it'll work itself out. Like, you don't have to stand for any kind of mistreatment or abuse. And you guys, if you have recently come out of a relationship like this, if you're trying to heal from a relationship like this, right? You guys, when I left my marriage was bad. Like, it was bad. It was very abusive. Those of you guys who know the story, you know the story. And those of you who don't, just real quick, I was in a 5-year abusive marriage, emotionally abusive. at the end of the marriage, it crescendoed with sexual abuse and cheating. And I finally gathered the strength to be like, okay, you're sexually assaulting me and you're seeing other people and you're putting my life at risk, my health at risk by being unprotected sex with strangers, and I was like, okay, this is enough. Like at one point, like my self-esteem was pretty low. It was at an all-time low, but I did love myself enough to say like my life is valuable and I need to get out of this relationship if I'm going to save it. Not necessarily that he was going to like murder me in the middle of the night, but indirectly. So I decided to end that marriage. And the last time I saw him, I confronted him about cheating. Somebody had outed him, and he reached out to touch me, and I recoiled, and I was like, "Don't touch me." And he was like, "Don't act like don't act like I'm gonna hit you." And I just said, "You're an abusive person, and I don't want you to touch me." And at that point in my brain, there was even as I said that, there was a part of me that doubted what I was saying. That I was like, am I just trying to be mean by calling him abusive? And this person had systematically torn down my self-esteem for years, who violated me sexually, violated me emotionally, violated my trust repeatedly, and then abandoned me and moved to another city so that he could continue his other life without me, while the while trying to suck me back into the relationship. Of course he was abusive. Anybody in their right mind would not question that for a moment. The only people who question that are people who are being abused, people who are allowing the abuser's voice to ring true in their mind, that they hear somebody say you're overreacting, you're blowing this out of proportion, and they believe it. And it's clear once you're out of that situation to look back on it and be like, oh, I was so crazy. I was crazy, but not because of the reason they said, because I was buying that load of crap, right? Like that's the only thing that was wrong with me, that I was believing them when they told me all those horrible, horrible lies, you know? Um, and so if you're coming out of a relationship like that, if this is something that you've experienced in the past, even if this happened to you years ago and you still don't feel like you are completely yourself again, right? Being in a relationship like that tears you down over time. It wears on you. It makes you a shell of who you were, to the point where you're like, you don't even know yourself anymore. Um, and and you guys, when I created my Body Beauty Badass program, I on a lighter note, the way that I present it is like, if you want to learn to be a badass and empower yourself and live your best life, then this is a program for you, and it will absolutely work for people like that. But the reason that I created this program was because I wanted a space for people who feel completely lost, like empty shell of themselves, to be able to reconnect with who they truly are inside, to heal from experiences like this, where they've been abused, where they've been mistreated, where they've been worn down over years. Maybe you've been married, and you are blindsided by a divorce, and then you're like left with this just empty future where you're like, I had all these plans and now there's a blank slate there and I have no idea where to go or what to do. That's what this program is for to get you to a place where you can learn to love yourself again, where you can rebuild the self-esteem that has been torn down and worn down over the years, to where you can learn to love who you look at when you look in the mirror. Sorry, you guys. Where you can look in the mirror and love who you see looking back, knowing that if one person in this world has your back, it's you. That when I say that you become a badass in my program, it's because you learn to love who you are, to stand up for who you are, to regain the confidence that has been lost, and you create a new future for yourself, so that when you look to the future, you have hope, where you have joy, you have confidence, you get to feel like, I can do whatever I want. Maybe you've always wanted to learn how to dance and your partner never let you. Well, now you can. Maybe you always wanted to do something kind of exciting and dangerous, but you never felt like you could. Now you can. And I want to teach you how to do that, how to move through the fear of just being yourself and get to a place where you love who you are, where other people love who you are. That's what Body Beauty Badass is about. It's about taking care of your physical self, your mental self, and your emotional self. That is what you're going to experience in this program. You guys, we start on June 10th. The cart is not open yet. Right now, I'm just taking reservations. If you want to reserve your spot before it officially goes on sale, you can absolutely do that. I'm going to open the cart. Let's see, we start on the 10th. I'm going to open the cart on probably the 1st. June 1st, the cart will open. So if you guys want to make sure that you have a spot before that, then shoot me a direct message, drop me a line, text me if you have my number, anything like that, and I will let you know how we can save your spot in that. I'm reserving it to 10 people because I feel very strongly about this, that this is so important. The people who are struggling, people who are going through this right now, they need the support, they need the attention. They don't want to feel lost in the crowd. And I don't want anyone to feel lost in the crowd. I want to create a place, a safe, sacred space where you can grow and develop into the person who you were, the person better than who you were, and into the person who you deserve to be. You're going to blossom. You guys, that's what this flower is about. My lotus flower, I know I talk about it in some of my videos. But the lotus flower is the representation of transformation for me. I was deciding between a phoenix and a lotus, and I thought to myself, oh no, that, excuse my language, I said that motherfucker is not going to make me crash and burn before I get to be reborn. I'm going to get through all of that shit, and I'm going to become a beautiful flower because of my past, not because I had to crumble first, and I'm not talking shit. If you guys have phoenix tattoos, I get that for you, it could mean something like an emotional, like a death of who you were, so that you could become the next person that you're meant to be or whatever. And that's fine. Whatever it means for you is fine. But for me, I want a representation that I can become something beautiful because of my past, not in spite of it, not because of, in spite of my past, but that I didn't have to let it hold me back. And that just because I had rough start to life doesn't mean that I can't become something incredible. So you guys, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate this. If you share this video, I'm not going to say, I usually say, if you know somebody who could benefit from this, share this video. No, just share it, because you don't know who's suffering in silence. You don't know who is too embarrassed to come forward about their home situation. And you don't know who doesn't even know they're in an abusive situation yet. So you've got to share this video with people. Help me get this message out. The world deserves to know this, that you don't have to stand for this, and that you can help other people. You guys, so please, I love you guys. Share this video. If you need to reach me, you can reach me through my website, mariaharoura.com. You can email me at coachmariaharoura@gmail.com. You can shoot me a message on Facebook, Instagram. I don't really Twitter. I mean, things come up on my Twitter feed, but I'm not really checking it, so don't message me there. And if you need help, please reach out. Find the help that you need. Call Crisis Line. Find a women's center. Don't stand for this mistreatment. It is the most loving thing that you can do for yourself and for your partner, to leave, to address this, to fix the situation, to cause them pain if that is what is needed. It is the best thing that you can do. Thank you for being here. I love you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will catch you all later. Bye.